What's up, everybody? What is up? What is up? How's everybody doing tonight? Bromus, what's up? How you doing? Bloody, how you doing? Snail Yum, Angel, Kona, how you guys all doing? Waste Ute, how you doing? How's everybody doing tonight? How's your guys' day been? King Shadow, what's up, bro? Bromus, you just got out of work? Nice. Sounds like it was a busy day. Yeah, today's been a pretty busy day. I spent all day working on the Hisoka versus Crollo video. Like, I rewrote a ton of the script for it, and I went in detail. Like, I added a segment to the video where where I just go in detail explaining every singular thing that happens in the fight, and it made the video go from 10 minutes to like an hour. So yeah, I might edit it down a little bit. Skylander, you said at this rate we'll get Prime Tompo What's a Monster type video. Kona, you said you're just reading Black Clover. I haven't read that yet. King Shadow, that's crazy, bro. I hope you're doing all right, man. You said saw the noti and thinking, when was Kid Hisoka ever mentioned? Yeah, I'll talk about that, bro. So yeah, honestly, we could just go ahead and get right into it. So there was a backstory written about Kid Hisoka that was written by the author of Tokyo Ghoul. It was written by the author of Tokyo Ghoul. And it's a backstory showing Hisoka. We don't know exactly what age he is, but he's like a young kid. He's probably in the age range of like 12 to 14. Like, he's around the age that Gon and Killua were. And this, like, what you see here in the thumbnail is what Hisoka looked like in that backstory. It's a one-shot manga, and it's actually really good. So it's not 100% considered canon, but it's actually pretty close to canon. Like, the reason I say that is because they actually had an interview between the author of Tokyo Ghoul and Togashi, and like they were talking to each other like about this project, and the author of Tokyo Ghoul like asked Togashi for like some instructions or like some ideas before he created this backstory, and Togashi was like, bro, just do whatever you want to do, man. Just like be creative with the character and do whatever you want for his backstory. And something that's interesting is like the author of Tokyo Ghoul is actually a huge Hunter x Hunter fan, and he said Hisoka was his favorite character. So he put like a lot of work into making it like feel like an actual, like he he made it feel like it's something that Togashi himself wrote. It's pretty similar. Even the art style is pretty close to like Togashi's art style. And then Togashi actually read this one shot, like he read it himself and was like, yeah, dude, it's pretty good. And Togashi, like in his interview, he says like this backstory actually inspired Togashi to want to essentially create more, to extend on this backstory. So something that's really interesting about it, like page 1 of this backstory, I have a few panels here. Obviously I couldn't put the entire thing here, but I got just a small number of panels from the backstory to show you guys. But this backstory, like the very first page in the backstory, you just see Hisoka's beaten up on the ground as a child, and you don't know like who beat him up. You don't know like why he's beaten up, anything. He's just like on the ground, beaten unconscious, and then he's picked up by these like this traveling circus. He's picked up and becomes a part of it. And Togashi said like he liked the things in this manga so much that like Togashi wants to continue on it himself. Like Togashi was saying so you know how page one is just Hisoka beaten up, but we don't get an explanation as to how he got beaten up throughout this whole manga here. We get no explanation to it. Togashi was like, he wants to essentially write something before this prequel that would lead up and explain why Hisoka was beaten up. So essentially, like Togashi was saying, he himself would want to create like page -10 to 0 for this manga. And then also like the circus that's in this prequel, Togashi said like he wants to use that circus in his actual main story as well. So it was actually really fascinating. Like, so it's not 100% canon, but it's kind of close to it, because like the actual author of the manga read it, said that he liked it, and said that he wanted to expand upon it himself. And then Togashi said if he ever does draw something that expands on this backstory or connects into this backstory, he would just show it to the author of Tokyo Ghoul. So we don't know for a fact if he ever did that or not. We like don't actually know. Waste Yute, you said Togashi needs to finish Hunter x Hunter for us before he thinks about taking on more work. I agree, bro. And I'll talk about that a little bit more too. Because like the fact that the author of Tokyo Ghoul was able to do this and create something that actually did feel like it fit in the Hunter x Hunter verse really made me start thinking about like how there's genuinely a plethora of options for how Togashi could finish this manga. There's a lot, bro. But yeah, so today I wanted to just talk about like what happens in this prequel and some of the power scaling feats in it. Hold on, give me 1 second, chat. Momo's boxing me as she normally does. Give me 1 second. I gotta put her in a different room. One second, chat. 1 second. Ooh, okay. Sorry about that delay. Momo's just a boxer, bro. My cat Momo is a true boxer. It's something about me doing live streams that just makes her start fighting me at full strength. Okay. So yeah, give me 1 second. I had to like wrestle her out of my room, bro. It took a little bit of energy. Give me 1 second here. All right, chat. So yeah, today what I'm going to talk about is I'm going to go in detail over like the different power scaling feats that are shown in this backstory. And essentially I'll treat it as if it was like a canon piece of material and talk about how that would actually relate to the main storyline, okay? Yeah, Momo is a true wild one. But all right, so here's how the backstory starts off. So as I was saying, it starts off with Hisoka. He's just beaten up on the ground, and he's picked up and like put into this traveling circus, right? Like the circus group that was pretty much made of a bunch of like criminals and like scumbags off the street. Hisoka's picked up by them, and he like joins this circus. Okay, and this guy you see on the left, he's a member of the circus, one of the main people in the circus, and he ends up teaching Hisoka Nen throughout this backstory. So the interesting thing about this backstory is you actually get to see Hisoka learn Nen, and his learning speed is very comparable to Gon and Killua's. But that's something I'll go more in detail with, and it's actually something that fits the story pretty well, so I wanted to talk about that in pretty good detail, okay? But the guy you see on the left, like the magic tricks that he performs during the circus acts, we don't get an explanation as to how he's doing them. It's like a mystery to everybody. But as the manga unfolds, you realize that he's actually just using Nen. And this guy's actually a transmuter, just like Hisoka. And it's interesting because like him and Hisoka have a lot of similarities. They're both like insane people that are using magic to like surprise the people around them. And this backstory, it's really fascinating because it shows you like why Hisoka calls himself Hisoka the Magician. Because like throughout this backstory, Hisoka is an actual magician in the circus. And it's like his Hatsu abilities kind of reflect that. So yeah, when you look at this panel here on the right, this is Hisoka showing this guy that he's actually really good at magic tricks with cards. And then it's revealed that pretty much any magic trick or circus act that Hisoka sees, he's able to replicate it perfectly. Did I include a panel of that? Yeah, I did. So here's another example of it. So there is this other guy in the circus who he was their like main juggler in the circus act. He was the main juggler. And this dude gets injured before they go and perform in front of a huge audience. And they're thinking like they're gonna just have to cut that out, that act out of the performance. But Hisoka's like, nah, bro, I can do it. I've seen him do it. And they're like, dude, it took him 12 years to be able to learn it. You're not going to be able to do it. And Hisoka's like, nah, I can do it. I watched him do it a couple times. I can do it. And Hisoka goes into the actual circus performance and he performs it perfectly. And this guy in the upper left-hand corner with like a bandana on his head or a do-rag or whatever, that dude's like, he's doing this so perfectly that it's actually annoying me. And he tries to mess Hisoka up intentionally to embarrass him in front of the crowd. And the way he does it, he's like, I'm going to do this this technique that I only practiced in secret. No other person has ever seen me do this like juggling technique. It's guaranteed going to make Hisoka fail. He tries the juggling routine with Hisoka, this move that no one has ever seen him do before. And Hisoka just instinctively like mimics it perfectly off of pure reflex. And then after that moment, this guy in the upper left-hand corner, he quits the circus and never performs again. And everyone in the circus like fears Hisoka from that point on. They never like from that point on, no one practices their circus routines in front of him because they're afraid that if Hisoka sees you do a magic trick, he'll just copy it and essentially just take your job. So like he starts to be feared like as a child because he can just like perfectly mimic just about anything he sees. Okay. Then he's talking to this like other magician guy, the dude who is in the left hand corner. Like his circus act, he like makes himself fly and he calls it skywalking. But it's actually a Nen ability, right? And Hisoka's telling him like the one circus trick that he really wants to copy is his. He wants to learn that skywalking thing. And the dude's like, oh, you can't copy that one. It's not a it's not like a sleight of hand trick like what everyone else is doing. This is like real Nen. And Hisoka reveals that he can see Nen already. J Solo, you said the Crollo of magic tricks. Basically, bro. Mux, where is this manga from, bro? Dude, it's so this I was just saying it earlier. It's a one-shot manga that shows Hisoka's childhood. It's not drawn by Togashi. It was drawn by the author of Tokyo Ghoul, but Togashi read it and like approved of it. Togashi read it and was like, yeah, this is good. He liked it. And Togashi was saying he also wanted to expand on it himself. Like Togashi was saying like, this chapter starts on page 1. Togashi was essentially saying he wanted to write something like that would connect to this. Like he wanted to write essentially like page -10 to 0 that would connect into this page 1. But Togashi said if he ever writes that, he's only going to show it to the author of Tokyo Ghoul, so we don't know if he did or not. And then also these circus characters that you're seeing Hisoka's a part of, Togashi said he wanted to incorporate that in the main story, so it's like it kind of does. It's pretty close to canon. But it was a one-shot manga, like, drawn by the author of Tokyo Ghoul. It just feels a lot like Hunter x Hunter because, like, the author of Tokyo Ghoul is a big fan of Hunter x Hunter. And like his art style is similar to Togashi's anyway, so it feels like it fits into the story pretty well. But yeah, anyways, when Hisoka tells this magic guy, he's like, bro, the trick that I really want to learn is like the skywalk that you're doing. And Hisoka reveals that like he can actually see the guy's aura. Okay, that means that Hisoka was a special kind of talent, the same type that Machi was. So Machi in the Phantom Troop flashback, it's revealed that Machi could see aura just naturally. So yeah, Hisoka is similar to Machi. They could both see aura naturally without even having their aura nodes like awoken. They could just intuitively see aura. And I need to read the Phantom Troops like flashback again to get a deeper understanding of like why Machi could do that. It might just be something just a few people are just born with their aura nodes and their eyes awoken already off rip. Okay. Another theory I had was like maybe Hisoka had gotten hit by a Nen user before and like had his aura awoken that way. But if that was the case, like he would like if your aura's awoken through being hit by a Nen user and you don't know like how to use 10, then like you just pass out from exhaustion. So I don't think that's what happened. I think Hisoka's just the same type of talent that Machi is, and he can just see Nen naturally without even before he even learned what like Nen was. He could just already see it. Okay. Travis, you said Kid Hisoka low-key barely better than Zushi. He's actually a lot better than Zushi. So they go into detail here. Here in the left-hand panel, Hisoka sees 10 like the same day that he's like, yo, I can actually see your aura and I want to copy your techniques. This dude, he starts teaching Hisoka Nen. And so what he does is he shows him 10 and Ren one time. And the dude's like, I'm training one other student, this girl. I'm training this girl how to do it. And it took her 3 years to learn how to do Ren. He was like, it took her like 9 months to learn 10. And it took her like 3 years to learn Ren. And Hisoka sees her do these things. And 1 week later, he can already do 10 and Ren. Okay, now that actually does fit the story really well. I have these panels here because when what that means is Hisoka, using the slow method, learned 10 in Ren in 1 week. When we look back at Gon and Killua, Wing, while he was underestimating them, said you guys could probably learn 10 using the slow method in a couple days. And then we saw they learned, well, first off, that was a massive underestimation of Gon and Killua's talent, because like a few pages, like literally like 12 pages later, Wing says it's going to take Gon 5 years to beat Guido, and it takes him like 1 day. So every time you see an estimation from Wing, he's wrong by a lot, like he's overestimating it a lot. I think a more accurate estimation is it probably would have taken Gon and Killua at most 1 day to learn 10, but probably like in the range of like 12 hours. They just had a time limit of like 3 hours to awaken Nen. That's why they did it with this method. Like, that's why they used the fast method, because they had like a deadline. They needed to sign up for their next fight within 3 hours, and they needed to learn Nen using the fast method because of that. But if they had done the slow method, it probably would have been within 1 day that they would have awoken 10. And then we saw it took them 1 day after that to learn Ren. So like, essentially a good estimate for how long it would take Gon and Killua to learn 10 and Ren using the slow method is about 2 days. But for Hisoka, it took him 1 week. So it shows you that they're both extreme talents. Whereas with Zushi, it took Zushi 6 months. So like something that took Zushi 6 months, it took Zushi 6 months just to learn 10. Meanwhile, Gon and Killua could learn 10 and Ren in about 2 days, even with the slow method, and Hisoka, it took him a week. So it's showing you that like Hisoka is like somewhat relative to a Gon and Killua level talent, actually pretty close to it based off of this like one-shot manga. Just to reiterate, Togashi himself did not actually write this, but it's just kind of interesting how that does fit into the story pretty well. Yeah, and let me know in the chat if you guys like would actually think Hisoka is this level of a talent. I will be honest, like the author of this manga said like he loves Hisoka, like Hisoka's one of his favorite characters, so there is a good chance that he's like overestimating how talented Hisoka actually is when he was writing this. And there's a few other things that back that up. Like for example, in this one-shot manga, Hisoka's like nen teacher here, this guy, this like magician dude. This magician dude was somebody who tried to become a hunter and failed. And they give you like hints as to what hunter exam he tried to take. The hint is that like when he took the hunter exams, only one person passed that year, and that person was so talented that it made this guy give up on ever trying to become a hunter. And they only show like a little bit of the dude's hair that passed the hunter exams, but he looks like Jing. So essentially what they're saying is like this magician dude took the hunter exams at the same year that Jing took the hunter exams, and Jing just beat everybody that year. And it made him quit. Okay, it made him not want to be a hunter anymore, and he just like decided to join the circus instead. And this dude, like fast forwarding a little bit into this, this magician dude, well, let me explain it a little better. As you're seeing Hisoka learn Nen, there's also a side plot happening in this manga that there's some mysterious serial killer who's able to change the appearance of his face every time he kills somebody. And then at the end of the manga, it's revealed that this magician dude, like Hisoka's Nen master, is the serial killer, and he's been using like texture surprise on his own face to make himself look like a different person every day and like murder people like that. And Hisoka figures it out and then challenges him to a battle. And Hisoka ends up killing this dude. Like Hisoka kills his own Nen master while he's a child. But here's the thing. It's like in this fight, while Hisoka's fighting this guy, the dude says that Hisoka reminds him of Jing. So like that's the kind of thing that makes me think that the author of this, like he's not Togashi, he's the author of Tokyo Ghoul, and he admittedly says like he loves Hisoka. That's the kind of thing that makes me think, okay, he's probably like overhyping Hisoka a little bit. Just a small bit, because it's like, if you take it literally, because if you take it literally, then he's saying like Hisoka is the same level of talent that Jing is, but we know for a fact that he actually just isn't. Okay. Another way you could interpret it is that someone like Hisoka, Gon, Killua, and Jing, they're all such higher levels of talent than this magician is. This magician on the left, like from his perspective, people like Hisoka, Gon, Killua, and Jing are all on a level of talent so much above himself that he can't really tell the difference. That's another way you could interpret it, is like even though Gon, Killua, and Jing are on a higher level of talent than Hisoka, from this guy's perspective, he actually can't tell the difference. All he can tell is like, this is a guy way more talented than I am. So that's why he's reminded of Jing. That's another way you can interpret it. The battle that these guys have is actually really interesting too. Like, so Hisoka learns Ten and Ren within a week, and then a few days later he learns, he just develops bungee gum on his own as well. He actually develops bungee gum before he learns Gyo. Like, he learns Gyo mid-battle with this guy, but he developed bungee gum first. Like, it was just something that naturally occurred to him because he was, like, throughout this whole manga, he's, like, constantly chewing bungee gum, like the actual candy bungee gum. And that does fit with the lore of the story, because Hisoka says bungee gum is based on his favorite chewing gum from when he was a kid. And throughout this whole manga, he's, like, constantly chewing bungee gum, and then, like, after he learns Ten and Ren, he's just chilling by himself and develops the Hatsu ability bungee gum and uses it in this fight for the first time. But the interesting thing in this fight here is there's a scene where Hisoka's mimicking his like skywalk ability. And this might just be like the author of Tokyo Ghoul just straight up glazing. Because the dude's like, wait, is he legitimately just copying my Hatsu ability just because we're both transmuters? Like, he shouldn't be able to do that. And then that's when he said, this reminds me of Jing, basically. That's that's when the guy says that. He's like, this reminds me of that guy from the Hunter exams. We don't get a full explanation into it. There's a chance that Hisoka was just using bungee gum to make it look like he was flying, but we don't actually get a full explanation. And then what this dude's Hatsu ability was, the magician, he's kind of like a serial killer Magneto. Like he was using his aura to create magnets, and he was wearing steel shoes so he could like repel himself into the air and like fly just using magnetic power. And then he would just like create two big magnets and like crush people with them. That was how he would fight. But overall, it was just a very fascinating manga. And I just thought like the most interesting thing from it was just the talent scaling for Hisoka. I do think that they did overhype Hisoka just a small amount. Like, because if you highball this like child version of Hisoka, then there's a chance that like Hisoka literally copied his magnet ability, and like this whole time adult Hisoka has a magnet technique that he's just never once used, and he could use it to fly, he could use it to crush people, like hypothetically. But I don't think that's exactly what was happening in the one shot. I think he was just using bungee gum to make it look like he was flying the same way this dude was. That's one thing. Yeah, I mean, other than that though, there was something else I wanted to say, but it's slipping my mind. But overall, it's a really sick one shot. Oh, I just remembered now. So one other thing is like, this guy did in Hisoka's backstory, he learned Hatsu much faster than Gon and Killua did. He learned Ten, Ren, and then went straight to Hatsu and learned Gyo after Hatsu. Did that all within like a week and a half. But here's the thing. It's like technically Gon and Killua kind of did too. Like if you just look at exactly how fast they learned everything, they learned Gyo overnight. They learned Ren in like the moment they saw it. They learned Ren. Using the slow method, they could have learned 10 in one day. And then the moment they tried to do a Hatsu, they could do a small version of it. But it took them 3 days to develop it to like a usable level. So technically, Gon and Killua learned all the 4 basics in 1 week, and so did Hisoka. Like, well, technically, if you count their actual days spent like trying new things, Gon and Killua learned the 4 basics in like a little bit under a week. Meanwhile, Hisoka learned them all in about a week and a half. So like based on that metric, that would mean that, oh, sorry, I keep like slapping my mic. Based on that metric, that would mean like Hisoka has about half the talent that Gon and Killua do. But even that is a bit debatable, because it's like Hisoka in the main story is 28 years old, and just imagine how powerful a 28-year-old Gon and Killua would be. They would be magnitudes stronger than this current Hisoka. Like a 28-year-old Gon and Killua would be just like far more powerful than current Hisoka. So it's debatable. Like, if you guys think that this is actually exactly how strong Kid Hisoka would be and how talented Kid Hisoka would be, there are ways you can make that work. Like, for example, you could just say this, like, Hisoka, maybe he never again had a real Nen master, so everything he learned is just improvisation from this point on. He didn't learn like the basics of how to actually improve your Ten and Ren the way that Gon and Killua do. He just like learned the basics kind of quickly from a crazy person, and has just from that point on only focused on battle experience. So he like had to figure out like Ken and Ryu on his own, so maybe that would slow him down. There are ways you can make this work, but yeah, basically this one shot says that Hisoka's about half as talented as Gon and Killua are, which is a debatable thing. So let me know what you guys think about that. Like, do you think that's actually an accurate assessment for Hisoka having half as much talent as Gon and Killua, or do you think he has less than half? Let me know what you guys think. But let me peep over to the comments, because I wanted to just yap about this this backstory I just read. Bloody, you said Hisoka might have just limited potential but blessed talent. That's possible too. He could have, yeah, that could be too true as well. Like maybe he just doesn't have anywhere near as much talent as Gon and Killua, but he has like, sorry, maybe he doesn't have as much potential as Gon and Killua. Like his absolute maximum is smaller than what the absolute maximum Gon and Killua could achieve, but his talent is somewhat relative. That could be possible too. Neo, you said half sounds like a low ball. King Shadow, you said you think he has less than half. Snalium says not half. Yeah, there's a lot of different ways you could look at this. Because, I mean, at the end of the day, you do have to acknowledge that, like, Togashi himself didn't write this. But it does say something that, like, this was made by a super fan of Hunter x Hunter. And Togashi read it and enjoyed it to the point where he's like, yeah, I would like to add on that. And like the wording Togashi used was pretty interesting. Like he didn't say he would want to change anything, which was interesting. Check C, you said probably less than half. Ninja, you said more like 1/10 or 1/100th the total potential. That's possible too. Like he could have like 1/10 of their potential or 1/100th of it, but he could have like half their talent potentially. Well, I shouldn't say potentially. Let me word that better. He could have like, let's say he has 1/10 their potential. He could still have 1/2 their talent. So like he learns things quickly, almost as quick as them. But like his max ceiling is like just 1/10 of what their max ceiling would be. That's a possibility too, if you just like viewed this as canon. But a lot of people don't. They just view it as like something fun to read. But it really is a very well done backstory for Hisoka. And something that was interesting is the author of this, he left some things unanswered, and he did that on purpose because he said like he wanted to create some backstory for Hisoka, but he still wanted there to be a mystery. Like you don't know who Hisoka's parents are, you don't know where he came from, you don't know why he was beaten up at the start of the manga, you don't know where he goes after this. Like there's still a lot that's a mystery. This is pretty much like just 2 weeks of Hisoka's life, like as a kid. King Shadow, you said the reason Hisoka was being compared to Jing was because his Nen master thought Hisoka was copying his Nen and remembered Jing could copy Nen just casually. Yeah, that's a possibility. But we don't know if like Jing knew Nen before the Hunter exams. Jing was 11. Jing was 11 just like Gon was when he took them. So we don't know if Jing already knew Nen back then. King Shadow, you said Hisoka speaks a little about his mom. He does. He says like his mom was like very skilled, something like that. And he says like that's how he was able to learn card tricks. But we don't actually get to see his mom or see his dad. G-Combat, you said it wasn't copying, it was the speed that he learned Gyo and Een by intuition. Yeah, and well, like the moment where this magician dude says like he reminds me of Jing was like the moment right after it looked like Hisoka was copying his flying ability, but we don't actually get an explanation as to how Hisoka was doing that. It's like implied that Hisoka's just using bungee gum to make himself fly, but like the way it's read, and also like kind of how sloppy the art is, it's kind of hard to tell. Maybe he really was just copying the magnet ability, but that wouldn't really make sense in the lore of the story. It would make more sense that he was just using bungee gum. Soul Vener, so Hisoka with Nen is compared to a no Nen Jing. Maybe, like we don't actually, so he's comparing him to Jing, but we don't know if Jing had Nen at the time. So like he's comparing him to the Jing that passed the Hunter exams when Jing was 11. And we don't know if Jing knew Nen back then or not. But you know, something that reading this made me think though is like the author of Tokyo Ghoul honestly did a really good job drawing this. Like it is like, it all looks like sketches. It's not very clean, but honestly it's not that different from actual normal Hunter x Hunter sometimes. Like if the rest of Hunter x Hunter got drawn in this quality, I'd be completely fine with it. I would be 100% fine with it. And not only would I be fine with it, there's what this made me think is there's a lot of artists out there that would happily draw Togashi's work for him. That was the biggest thing that I got from this, is that like there's a lot of artists that would just happily draw Togashi's work for him. I bet you, like, I really do think that he has a lot of opportunities for like how he could finish the story, you know? Like, honestly, there's probably people in this chat right now where if Togashi just texted you and was like, hey bro, would you like, I have the rest of Hunter x Hunter just written out as a book. I have like this 1,000 page manuscript talking about from like where the manga ended off, explaining everything that happens all the way until Gon and Killua are like 100 years old. Would you draw this for me? There's probably people in the chat right now that would just draw it for free. Like, there's probably people here right now who would do that, let alone all the artists like across the entire world. The fact that you have another mangaka who drew this, like the author of Tokyo Ghoul drew this while he was in the middle of writing Tokyo Ghoul itself. Like, that shows you like how respected Togashi's work actually is. Like, also it tells you about like how many hiatuses Hunter x Hunter has. Like the I was reading the interview that the author of Tokyo Ghoul had with Togashi, and the thing he said that like was fascinating to me, he was like, dude, like when I was a kid in like middle school, I was reading Hunter x Hunter, and he said one of the scenes that stuck out to me was like Hisoka in Heaven's Arena, and I just thought he was so cool in Heaven's Arena. That like, this is the author of Tokyo Ghoul is saying this, and he said like, before I even started drawing manga, I used to just draw Hisoka because he was so cool. And the author of Tokyo Ghoul went on to create Tokyo Ghoul, do 2 full like Tokyo Ghoul series, complete them both before Togashi finished Hunter x Hunter. That's how long the hiatuses are. It's like, bro literally inspired the next gen of mangaka, had them reading his work, and then they started their own work and finished their works before Togashi finished his. That's actually wild, bro. Kona, I agree, that would be sick. Bromish, you said I'd do it. I don't know if it look any good though. Check C said, didn't Togashi say he had the ending written up already, or at least Gon's ending? Yeah, he said he had 4 different potential endings for Hunter x Hunter, and he said like they range from like one of the endings he thought like some people would like, another ending he thought like pretty much everyone would hate, and then he had like different berries in between there, and then he just released one of the endings, and it's like still an ambiguous ending. Like, the ending he released, you don't really know like what's going on. You know, he doesn't really name people by name. You just know like a lot of time has passed, and it's kind of implied that Gon became a like extremely famous hunter, but he doesn't say Gon by name. Like, they're just talking about there's some legendary hunter out there, and it's like you think it's Gon, but you don't know, and it's like we don't. There's a bit more to it than that, but like it's just a very vague like couple sentences. Basically, it wasn't really a real ending. It was just like a vague couple sentences saying like there's some super legendary hunter out there, and you don't know who it is. I don't even consider it a real ending, actually. Eric, you said the artist and author had a falling out. Of what series? Maybe of a different series. Ajin? I haven't heard of that. Yeah, the hiatuses for Hunter x Hunter are pretty wild, but at the end of the day, I just hope, you know, Togashi's doing well, and I respect the work that he has created. And the way I just cope with it, I just tell myself that the series is done already, and I just read the stuff that's already written, and that's kind of just how I cope with it, you know? that's how I cope with it. But yeah, that was kind of everything I wanted to talk about. I really did just want to briefly go over like this backstory. Have you guys in the chat read this this backstory, and if so, what did you think of it? Jed, I agree, man. And you know, I used to get really like annoyed by that. I used to get really annoyed by that to the point where it like actually frustrate me, but now I've just kind of reached a point where I just let it go. I just let it go. I just had to reach the state of acceptance. I just had to reach the state of acceptance, bro. In my mind, I'm just like, you know what? This is all we'll get for the manga, most likely. If we get any more chapters, it's all right. But like for me, like when we get new chapters, I know that they're new chapters, but it's not gonna feel like a full new chapter to me until we see Gon and Killua again. Because like he left Gon on such a crazy, crazy cliffhanger, and then just wrote 50 chapters after that without Gon in it. And I'm like, bruh, you gotta finish up that cliffhanger at least, because until that cliffhanger gets ended, like until we see like, I guess, spoiler warning, like for anyone who hasn't read like the latest chapters of Hunter x Hunter, I'm going to be talking about that stuff for probably the next portion, so spoiler warning for any of that. But I give you guys like 5 seconds to bounce if you don't want to hear what happens in the latest chapters. All right, so yeah, we see that Gon can't see his Nen anymore, but Jing tells him, yeah, you still have Nen, I could see it. Like Jing was like, when you were with me, I could see that you had Nen, you just can't see it. And we don't get an explanation as to why that is. It's like, if Gon has Nen, how come he can't see it? And my theory is that the aura nodes in his eyes have been closed, but like he's still using Nen. It's just like Gon is the only one who can't see it. And now Gon is just like being homeschooled by Aunt Mito and like getting an education. In my opinion, until he shows Gon again, like using Nen, he can see Nen, and he's like stronger than he was in the Chimera Ant arc. Until that happens, the chapters aren't real. Like that's kind of how my mind processes it, bro. That's how my mind processes it. My mind's like, until we get a chapter where it shows Gon like training Nen, using Nen again, and he's like, oh yeah, I'm stronger than I was in Chimera Ant arc. Until that happens, then the chapters aren't real. That's just kind of how my mind views it. Snailium, you said, I'm not at acceptance yet. Bro, it took me a while, man. But, like, I've been caught up with Hunter x Hunter for years. Like, I mean, so when was 2011? That was 14 years ago. I started, like, watching the Hunter x Hunter anime. I think I started watching it in 2013, and I got caught up right away and then read all the manga chapters. I was 16 or 17. I'm 28 right now. So that was like 11 years ago when I got caught up, bro. And when I got caught up, it was like right before the Hisoka versus Chrollo fight. 11 years later, we got like 50 more chapters, bro. Like, I can tell you, when I got caught up with the manga 11 years ago, bro, I can't explain to you how angry I was, dog. Like, it actually was annoying, bro. Because I remember, you guys know the chapter where, like, Gon and Killua go their separate ways? That chapter made me so mad. I read that in the manga before. Oh, dang. I keep slapping my mic. My fault, guys. I read that in the manga before it was animated. I read that in the manga before it was animated. Because, like, I got caught up to the anime when the anime was, like, not even finished with the Chimera Ant arc yet. Like, I don't think Adult Gon was animated yet when I got caught up to the manga. And when I read the chapter where Gon and Killua went their separate ways, I'm like, this is trash. I remember, like, saying that. Like, I was, like, 16 years old, like, just a young Lilo saying, this is trash. What is this garbage, bro? I was so mad, bro. I was like, why would, like, I was like, that's the best part of the story. Why would you separate them? I remember being, like, heated about that, bro. And that took me, like, a few months to get over. And then we got to the Hisoka stuff. That was cool. And then we got, I don't remember what happened first. Was Gon saying he couldn't see his Nen before the Hisoka battle? I think it was. Because then I remember we got to that Gon part, where they were like, Gon couldn't see his Nen, and I remember being heated about that for months and months. And then, like, we just kept getting hit by hiatuses, bro. Like, I remember, bro, it came from a time, dog. Like, the reason why I reached acceptance came from time, because, like, I remember living through those hiatuses. I remember, like, there being no chapters, and then going like 2 years, no chapters, and then getting an announcement. I was like 18 or 19, all the anime reviewers that I followed on YouTube. I used to follow so many of them. Here's some timeless classics, bro. Some of you guys have probably never seen these people, but Sawyer Seven Mage, an OG. I used to watch Sawyer Seven Mage like daily. He did One Piece chapter reviews. He did Hunter x Hunter chapter reviews, and Naruto chapter reviews. If anyone here knows what I'm talking about, you're truly a real one, bro. I used to watch Sawyer Seven Mage. I used to watch For Neverworld, and I used to watch King of Lightning, bro. And I remember all three of them saying, "Oh, Hunter x Hunter's back! You won't believe it, Hunter x Hunter's back, bro." I remember being like 19. I'm like, no way, Hunter x Hunter's back. We'll finally get to see Gon use Nen again. We got 10 chapters, went on hiatus another 2 years. And I remember being so mad that I like couldn't fathom it. Okay. It made me so angry I couldn't fathom it. And during that 2 years, that was when I actually gave up on Hunter x Hunter. Then it came back again. And I'm like, no, wait, maybe it'll be different this time. We got another 10 chapters, went on hiatus 2 or 3 years again. And then after that, I was like 23 or 24. And from that point on, I just reached the acceptance stage. That's how it happened. That is how it happened. So if you guys have just started watching Hunter x Hunter like 3 years ago, just know like, in like 10 years, you'll reach acceptance, bro. So like eventually you'll be all right. Like, for me, it took me like 5 or 6 years of just getting hit by hiatuses over and over. And I'm like, you know what? I'm good. I just reached acceptance. Wait, hold on 1 second, guys. I got to let Momo back in here because I feel bad. Hold on. Let me let her back in here. 1 sec. But yeah, chat, those were like those were the experiences that led me to accept that, like, you know what? If we never get another Hunter x Hunter chapter again, I'm okay with it. That was the process. Ty, you said it's like an abusive relationship. Bro, if I'm being honest, I used to think that too. I used to feel that way too. But you just have to like detach yourself from the hiatuses, man. You just have to let them go. Like, that is... Juan, you said, I'm going through that now, no cap. You just have to let it go, bro. You just have to let it go. Because that's what I had to just let it go, bro. I was like, I love, like... Because I used to get so annoyed by it. And I used to really think, like... So here's what did it, bro. It was like, for months on end, every day, Googling any new Hunter x Hunter news. Is Hunter x Hunter coming back? Togashi Hunter x Hunter rough sketches. Togashi Hunter x Hunter spoilers. Togashi Hunter x Hunter interviews. Like every day Googling stuff like that, trying to find the smallest inkling of a crumb of information about there being a new Hunter x Hunter chapter. Just to realize there was nothing. And doing that every day for months on end. And then those months led to years. Eventually you just start thinking, you know what? I'm good. I'm good with what we have. I'm good with what we have. And then you start to really appreciate series like One Piece, bro. Because, I mean, just a fun fact, One Piece and Hunter x Hunter came out within like 6 months of each other. At most 1 year. Like, they almost came out at the exact same time. Hunter x Hunter has 400 chapters. One Piece has 1,100. So, that tells you a lot. And like from the time Hunter x Hunter started until right now, there's been several mangaka that like grew up watching Hunter x Hunter that went on to write their own manga and finished their manga before Hunter x Hunter did. Like, that's what Tokyo Ghoul is. That's what My Hero Academia is. Attack on Titan. There's so many series out there right now that like Jujutsu Kaisen's another one. There's so many. Zoom said it'll finish in 10 years. Bro, I just think it never will. I hope it does, but I don't tell myself that it ever... In my mind, it's done now. In my mind, it's a completed manga now, and I just accept what we have, and I love what we have, and I just accept it. You know, that's how I view it. If we ever get more, then I'll be extremely happy. But in my mind, like, the new chapters won't feel fully real until they show Gon like using Nen again and able to see his Nen. Demon Slayer, you're right. That's another one. It started after Hunter x Hunter and finished before it did. Storm, you said, hey bro, if you could make a Hatsu, what would it be? Um, in real life, like the ability to teleport would be great. The ability to teleport would be epic. So like Nove's ability, I guess. Another option would be like Bisky's ability. That's just a very practical one for the real world. Being able to sleep 8 hours and 30 minutes is actually crazy. And then just having 10 in general is great. What will finish first, One Piece or Hunter x Hunter? One Piece. One Piece for sure. What if Togashi just drops a 5-year time skip? I wouldn't mind that. I'd be happy about that. Bromish, you said, last time posting it for the night. If you haven't joined, join the Discord. Have a good night, y'all. Going to bed. Peace out, Bromish. Thank you for posting the Discord, man. Berserk 381 dropped. I haven't followed Berserk for a minute, but it was a great series. Oh, jeez, Momo. Are you okay? My cat is wild, bro. Storm said, what about one for combat, as if you were in the show and were a hunter? If I was in the show and was a hunter, I'd probably be a conjurer. Like, I think I would be the same Nen type as Kurapika. So I would probably conjure something. I'd probably make like a stand type ability. Like, I would probably conjure like something strong. Like, I would have to really think about it. Because you can only conjure, like, material things, right? Or is there any limit? Because we saw, like, Netero kind of conjured a Buddha hand statue. So I would want something like that. I would want to conjure, like, something giant and powerful. Maybe, like, conjuring statues seems to be a good method. I would definitely conjure something, like, big and strong, bro. Momo, relax. Dang, bro. Stop. What would I conjure, bro? Some kind of giant statue. I don't want to... not a Buddha hand statue. Maybe like a statue of Mike Tyson just punching people. Like just a giant Mike Tyson stand conjuring like a giant version, like my own interpretation of Mike Tyson. He's like 10 feet tall and just like punches people in the head real fast. Probably something like that. King Shadow, you said Gon's net ability is so trash to me. I've always hated it and could think of one way better for him. Yeah, I wish he enhanced his speed. Should have enhanced his speed. I mean, it was just like, he just has the mind of an actual child, so he just has a childish Hatsu. So yeah, Storm, like something like Netero or Hashirama, yeah, something like that. Amaterasu, you said this real. So yeah, this is actually a one-shot that was created by the author of Tokyo Ghoul. But he had interviews and like spoke with Togashi about it. Togashi likes it. And Togashi said he wanted to write stuff that would like extend upon this backstory. So it's not 100% canon, but it's kind of close because like the actual author enjoys it and was like kind of inspired by it. And Togashi was saying like the people that appear in this circus, Togashi wants to use them in the main story as well. So it's kind of canon, kind of. Jed, you said, you know what I realized? Meruem beat Netero without Hatsu. You know, that's what I used to say too. And I actually, like, I used to literally say that in my videos. And I realized that that's actually a mistake that I made. Because, like, when Meruem's born, Pito says, like, his Hatsu ability is aura synthesis. Like, the ability to eat other people and absorb their aura into himself. That's actually Meruem's Hatsu ability he was born with. So it's not really a fighting ability. It's just, like, the ability of a king. I thought that it was just like part of his DNA that was letting him do that, but Pito says it's actually his Hatsu ability. But it's weird though because Meruem's listed in the data books as an emitter, and that's like not a mission at all. That's like a specialist type move. So I don't know, maybe the data books are wrong. Zoom says, have you seen that guy from the Discord who said Crollo would beat Pito without prep? I haven't seen that, but I do not agree with that. Yeah. Crollo is strong, but he's not beating Pito. But yeah, people just have their favorite characters. King Shadow, you said, do you think there's more about Nen we don't know about? Yeah, I think there's a good chance. Like, I think there might be just a counter to speedsters that we haven't seen. Like, I think there's a few things we just haven't seen yet, bro. I think there's a few things we haven't seen yet. Like, I think that was kind of the main thing Togashi was going for, is he wanted to have his verse feel balanced all the way through. But, like, the story ends before he could balance everything out entirely, because, like, for example, Morel says there's plenty of ways to deal with people who over-rely on speed, but we didn't get to see what they all were. I want to see what they are. I really want to see what they are. King Shadow, Kite versus Illumi. I lean towards Illumi winning that. I think Kite is powerful, but I don't think he's, like, on the exact same tier as Hisoka and Illumi. I think he's a little bit below them. I don't know if he's as experienced as they are in battle. G Combat, you said Hisoka in the one shot was probably pretending to be beat up and was an advanced Nen user before they met. I mean, hey, that's a possibility, but I don't really think so, because he says like it took him 1 week to learn Ten and Ren, unless he was just like pretending that he couldn't do Ten and Ren that whole time. But I don't know. I mean, there's also a line of dialogue in there where he's like, he's talking to his Nen master, and he's like, dude, your aura is way stronger than mine. And he's like, oh, that's because I've trained it, Hisoka. You'll be able to do this too. So unless he was lying about everything and like purposefully suppressing his aura to look like he didn't know how to do it, that's what he would have to do. King Shadow, Jing versus Beyond. I think Jing's stronger personally. But we don't really know how strong Beyond is. We don't know anything about Beyond at all, actually. We've seen nothing from him. All we can do is just make implications based off of like how many Zodiac were guarding him. Like at first they had 3 Zodiac guarding him, but then they switch it down to just 1. So we really don't know how strong he is. But alright guys, I think that's enough yapping here. I might hop on Skyrim and play some Skyrim tonight and stream that just to chill. Cause dude, I've legitimately been working all day, bro. Like I woke up and I spent like 5 hours straight just writing the Hisoka versus Crollo video. Spent like 5 hours on that, and that joint is long, bro. It's like an hour of just straight yapping. So I'm gonna have to revise it and edit a lot. That took a long time. And then after that I made one short, posted that joint. And then I read this Hisoka one shot, analyzed it, and then did this. That's all I've done today. That's been the whole day. King Shadow, you said no debate. Yeah, no debate today. Maybe tomorrow. You said, when is the Illumi versus Phaeton debate? I haven't thought about that. I lean towards Illumi, though. But maybe that would be interesting. Illumi versus Phaeton. Maybe I could do a poll on that. King Shadow wins the next debate. Maybe tomorrow. Maybe tomorrow. But I'll have to see. I think there's UFC fights tomorrow. I might go out and watch those. But alright guys, I think that's everything for this stream. Thank you guys for tuning in. But yeah, I might do this Skyrim one. If you see the Skyrim stream pop up in like 30 minutes, that means that's what I'm doing. If not, that means I just went to sleep. But alright guys, thank you everybody for tuning in. I appreciate the views, I appreciate the comments. And I'll see you guys. Oh wait, King Shadow, you said before you drop Hisoka versus Crollo, you need to know these things about Nen. Yeah, just let me know them, bro. Let me know in the comments or Discord. Thanks, Storm. I appreciate it, bro. JD Dynasty, I appreciate it, bro. But alright, guys. I'll see you later. Thank you for tuning in, everybody.